What if I told you that no matter how much chaos surrounds you, you have the power to choose how you respond? The Stoics believed that every moment is an opportunity to make a choice that could change your life forever. Every day, we are confronted with countless decisions, some big, some small. The simple ones, like what to eat for breakfast or whether to snooze your alarm. And the monumental ones, like whether to change careers or stand up for your beliefs. These choices shape who we are. Yet so many of us navigate through life reacting to the world without much thought. But Stoicism offers a different way. It teaches us that we are not helpless victims of our circumstances. Instead, we are always in control of how we react to the world around us. Imagine being able to rise above the noise, seeing through the fog of fear, doubt, and anxiety, and making decisions from a place of clarity and inner strength. This is the Stoic mindset. The belief that our response to the world, not the world itself, is what truly defines our lives. Ryan Holiday, a modern advocate of Stoic philosophy, often emphasizes that the ancient Stoics, like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, didn't just talk about virtue, they lived it. For them, virtue wasn't an abstract ideal or a lofty goal. It was something practical. It was about making the right choices in each moment, no matter how small. To the Stoics, the true measure of a person wasn't in their accomplishments or material possessions, but in the decisions they made when faced with challenges. They believed that every decision was an opportunity to practice virtue. Imagine a moment when life throws a challenge your way. Your first instinct might be to feel overwhelmed, to panic, or to react in anger or frustration. But Stoicism teaches that we have the power to choose a different response. We can choose calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, and courage over fear. This isn't just some abstract, feel-good philosophy. It's a tool for real-world transformation. The Stoics didn't shy away from life's difficulties. They met them head-on, understanding that their true power wasn't in controlling external events, but in controlling their responses to them. That's the beauty of Stoicism. It doesn't promise an easy life, but it gives you the tools to navigate the storms of life with resilience and grace. It teaches us that no matter what happens, we always have the power to choose how we engage with it. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or ignoring the challenges we face. It means acknowledging our feelings and choosing how to respond in a way that aligns with our values. In a world constantly bombarding us with societal pressures, media expectations, and our own self-doubt, it's easy to feel like we have no control. But the Stoics remind us that, in every moment, we always have a choice. And it's that choice, the ability to choose our actions, our mindset, and our path, that ultimately defines the quality of our lives. So, as you go through your day, pause for a moment to reflect. What choices are you making? Are they in line with the life you want to live? The Stoic philosophers would argue that it's not the events that shape us, but the choices we make in response to them. The power to shape your life is in your hands, if only you choose to embrace it. Procrastination is a silent thief. stealing our time and potential, and yet so many of us fall victim to its cunning ways. It's easy to put things off, to tell ourselves that we'll act tomorrow or next week when the moment is right. But how often does that perfect moment ever come? Rarely. Instead, we find ourselves stuck, trapped in an endless cycle of delaying, convincing ourselves that tomorrow will be better, that we'll feel more ready, more prepared. But the truth is, tomorrow is never promised, and the future we think we'll have is often nothing more than a mirage. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, warned us about this very trap. He said that many people delay action, waiting for the right moment to take action, but that moment is often an illusion. "I'll do it tomorrow," Seneca wrote, "is the biggest lie we tell ourselves." But this lie isn't just harmless, it's destructive. It drains our time, keeps us from achieving what we want, and makes us believe we can always catch up later, something we can never truly count on. The Stoics understood that time is one of the few resources we cannot get back. And once it's gone forever, waiting for the perfect conditions, for the right moment, is a recipe for never achieving anything meaningful. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself you'd start something, whether it's a project, a new habit, or a goal, and then let it slip into the next day, then the next week, until it's buried beneath the weight of excuses and distractions? I've been there too. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking we'll get to it later. But what we fail to realize is that we're not just delaying our actions, we're delaying our lives. The more we put things off, the further we get from the person we could become, the life we could live. It's not just about accomplishing tasks, it's about creating the future we want. And to do that, we need to act now. The Stoics believed that if something is worth doing, it's worth doing now. No more waiting, no more excuses. If we want to live a fulfilling life, we need to start now, not later. Sure, there will always be obstacles, doubts, and challenges, but those are part of the process. Waiting for the perfect moment is a waste of time. It's a way to avoid the discomfort of action, the fear of failure, and the uncertainty of the unknown. But it's also the only way we can ever make progress. And if I'm being honest, I've found that the hardest part isn't actually taking action, it's starting. Once we take that first step, no matter how small, the momentum builds. We start to see progress. And with progress comes confidence. We stop waiting for things to be perfect because we realize that perfection is an illusion. It's the doing that matters. Every time we procrastinate, we rob ourselves of growth, of opportunities, and of life itself. The Stoics understood that the present moment is all we have, the future is uncertain, and the past is gone. What we do now determines who we will become tomorrow. If you've been waiting for a sign, consider this it. Stop waiting. Stop putting off your dreams. The time to act is now. Discipline is the backbone of success, and it's a lesson many of us learned the hard way. Motivation is powerful. It gives us a surge of energy, an initial burst that makes us feel like we can conquer anything. But let's be real. Motivation is fleeting. It comes in waves, often when we least need it, and disappears just as quickly. What happens when that initial excitement fades? What do we rely on then? That's where discipline steps in. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "Life without design is erratic." And this couldn't be more true. Without a plan, without a set routine, life becomes a chaotic mess of half-finished projects, scattered thoughts, and endless distractions. Seneca's wisdom highlights the importance of having a structure, a system that supports us even when we're not feeling particularly motivated. And if we're being honest, most days, we're not going to feel like jumping out of bed at 5 a.m. or sitting down to work on that long-term project we've been putting off. But here's the secret. When we build discipline into our lives, we don't need motivation to keep going. Discipline doesn't depend on how we feel in the moment. It's about showing up day after day, no matter what. And when we do that, we start to build momentum. Progress becomes inevitable. Think about your daily routine. Some tasks, like brushing your teeth or getting dressed, are so ingrained in you that they happen automatically. They don't require a single ounce of motivation. They're habits. That's the power of routine. When we do something often enough, it becomes second nature. And it's the same with the things that really matter. Whether it's writing, exercising, or working on a business, creating a routine makes it easier to keep going. The key is to make the process habitual, something you don't have to think twice about. That's where discipline thrives. The most successful people in the world don't rely on motivation to push them forward. They've built systems of discipline into their lives. Take athletes, for example. They train every day, even on days when they don't feel like it, because they know that the small, consistent actions lead to big results. The same principle applies to any area of life. If you're working toward a goal, waiting for motivation to strike is a recipe for disappointment. Instead, build a routine. Start small. Show up every day, even if you're tired or uninspired. Over time, you'll begin to see progress. And it's that progress that will keep you going when motivation is nowhere to be found. For me, this is something I've learned through trial and error. There have been countless days when I didn't feel like putting in the work, when I wanted to take a break, to rest, to indulge in distractions, but I've found that the days I push through, even when I don't feel like it, are the days that make the biggest difference. The routine, the discipline, is what keeps me grounded and moving forward. It doesn't rely on a spark of inspiration. It's the quiet, steady rhythm of consistent action. It's easy to chase after motivation, to wait for that rush of excitement before we begin. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable. Discipline is the key. It's the habit of showing up, even when the excitement fades. That makes all the difference. It's the foundation upon which we build a life of progress, no matter the circumstances. So, if you want to achieve anything meaningful, start today. Create your routine. Embrace the discipline, and let that be the force that drives you forward. In a world where news is constantly streaming at us from every direction, It's easy to feel overwhelmed. From social media updates to breaking news stories, we're bombarded with a never-ending flow of information. And here's the truth. Most of it doesn't matter. It's designed to grab our attention, pull us in, and keep us distracted. But distraction doesn't lead to growth. It leads to confusion, anxiety, and a shallow understanding of the world around us. This is where Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, offers some clarity. He argued that to grow, to truly develop as individuals, we must be comfortable with being uninformed about certain things. That's right. Epictetus believed that there's power in stepping away from the constant stream of information that surrounds us. In today's world, we're led to believe that staying informed is a moral imperative. We feel like we must know everything that's happening, every crisis unfolding, every viral trend. But what does this constant influx of information do for us? It keeps us distracted, overwhelmed, and unfocused. It pulls us away from our own thoughts, our own purpose. How often do we find ourselves scrolling through our social media feeds, wasting time on trivial updates, or getting lost in endless debates about things that, in the grand scheme of life, don't matter? And yet, we feel this unrelenting pressure to stay connected, to be in the know. But here's the kicker. The more we consume, the less we understand. The news, social media, and online trends are designed to be loud, sensational, and fleeting. They don't provide us with true knowledge or wisdom. They provide us with noise. And the problem with noise is that it drowns out what's truly important. It pulls us in different directions, leaving us distracted and unable to focus on what really matters. The Stoics, on the other hand, understood the power of silence and intentionality. They knew that in order to live a life of meaning and purpose, we need to cultivate our minds with wisdom that stands the test of time. That's why Epictetus encouraged us to limit our exposure to distractions, to turn off the noise, and to focus on what truly nourishes our minds. Instead of filling our heads with trivial news cycles, we can choose to read books that deepen our understanding of life, study history, and seek wisdom that transcends the temporary events of the moment. I know from personal experience that turning off the news, both the mainstream and social media, is one of the most freeing decisions you can make. When I stopped letting myself be consumed by the daily barrage of headlines and sensationalism, I found that my mind became clearer, my purpose became sharper, and I felt less anxious. It wasn't about sticking my head in the sand or ignoring the world. It was about choosing what information to consume and making space for what truly matters. By diving into timeless texts, reflecting on history, and focusing on deeper truths, we allow ourselves to stay grounded and connected to what is truly essential. It's not easy in a world that thrives on urgency and distraction. But the Stoic approach is simple. Limit your exposure to the noise, and choose what you let into your life. Turn off the news, step away from the chaos, and focus on cultivating your mind with wisdom that enriches your soul. The world will continue to spin with or without our constant attention. But by choosing what we consume wisely, we allow ourselves to grow, to evolve, and to live a life that is truly our own. Life, in its essence, is about choices, the choices we make, the choices we prioritize. Yet, how often do we find ourselves tangled in a web of distractions? Doing things that don't matter? We fill our days with a barrage of activities, tasks, and obligations, many of which are not only unnecessary but also draining. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, understood this all too well. He emphasized the importance of focusing only on what truly matters, the things that align with our highest values and goals. The truth is, we waste so much of our precious time and energy on things that aren't essential. It's like trying to swim in a pool that's filled with unnecessary clutter, preventing us from reaching the deeper parts of ourselves. We often get caught up in the distractions of the world, social media updates, the latest gossip, or obligations that aren't even ours to begin with. There's a constant pressure to be everywhere, to do everything, to please everyone, and in doing so, we lose sight of what really matters. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to step back and ask ourselves, is this essential? When you start asking that simple question, everything changes. You begin to see the distractions for what they are: time thieves, energy vampires, draining you without adding anything of real value to your life. The challenge is, in today's world, these distractions are everywhere. The demands of work, society, family, and even our own inner voices pushing us to do more, be more, and have more, can quickly leave us feeling scattered. But if we don't make a conscious effort to separate the important from the trivial, we can easily slip into a cycle of perpetual busyness, mistaking motion for progress. It's like running on a treadmill, expending energy but getting nowhere. By focusing on the essential, we can cut through this noise and regain control over our time and energy. When I started applying this principle in my own life, it was a game changer. I began to eliminate tasks and commitments that didn't serve my bigger goals. I stopped saying yes to everything and started being more intentional with my time. It wasn't easy at first, especially when there were so many expectations from others and so many things pulling me in different directions. But as I learned to ask myself, is this essential? I found that my days became more focused, my energy became more concentrated, and my motivation no longer felt scattered. It was like I was finally able to align my actions with my true purpose. Focusing on the essential doesn't just help us stay focused. It also ensures that we use our limited motivation effectively. We all have a finite amount of energy and willpower, and if we spend it on the wrong things, we'll burn out before we ever get to the things that really matter. By eliminating the non-essential, we reserve our energy for the tasks and projects that align with our goals, that bring us closer to the life we want to create. Think about your day right now. How much of it is spent on things that, in the grand scheme of things, don't matter? How many hours are wasted on tasks or distractions that don't contribute to your growth or well-being? By consciously choosing the essential, we free up our mental and emotional bandwidth to invest in what truly counts. It's about making deliberate choices, about saying no to the unnecessary so that we can say yes to the things that will lead us toward a fulfilled life. When we choose the essential, we choose a life of purpose, focus, and intentionality, a life that is truly worth living. The world throws obstacles at us, often when we least expect it, and when these challenges arise, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeing them as roadblocks, as something that stands between us and our goals. But what if I told you that every obstacle is not an obstacle at all? What if it's actually an opportunity in disguise? This is the core of Marcus Aurelius' famous quote, "The obstacle is the way." What he's really saying is that the very challenges we face in life are not meant to stop us. They are the path to growth. The difficulty, the confrontation, the problem, it's all part of the process. The Stoics understood something profound. Obstacles are not enemies to be defeated, but opportunities to be seized. Instead of getting frustrated, anxious, or overwhelmed when something goes wrong, we can choose to shift our perspective. When faced with difficulties, whether it's dealing with a challenging person, an unexpected setback at work, or a roadblock in our personal life, we can decide to see these moments not as setbacks but as invitations to practice virtue, patience, resilience, humility, and perseverance. They're all built in the face of adversity, in the heat of the moment, when everything seems to be falling apart. That's when we are given the chance to practice the qualities that define who we are. I know from personal experience how easy it is to become frustrated when things don't go as planned. We all have those moments where we feel like nothing is working, where we question why we even bother trying. But I've learned that these moments are actually where we find our strength. When we hit a wall, when things don't go our way, that's when we can choose to respond with patience, with resilience, and with courage. These obstacles become the fertile ground where we grow. Let me share a personal story. A few years ago, I was working on a project that seemed to be going well, until everything suddenly fell apart. A key collaborator backed out, and the timeline we'd worked so hard to put together unraveled. In that moment, I could have thrown my hands up in frustration. I could have given in to anger or resentment. But instead, I chose to see this setback as an opportunity. I decided to focus on the things I could control, my response, my actions, and my mindset. It wasn't easy, but over time, I saw how that very obstacle became a defining moment in my journey. I learned more about myself, about how to pivot in difficult situations, and most importantly, I developed a deeper sense of inner strength. This is what Stoicism teaches us. The obstacle isn't in the way, it is the way. The challenges we face are not roadblocks. They are stepping stones on our path to becoming better versions of ourselves. Every time we confront a difficult situation, we have a choice. We can let it break us, or we can let it build us. When we choose to see obstacles as opportunities for personal growth, we are choosing to transform the way we live. In every difficulty, there is a chance to practice virtue. In every roadblock, there's an opportunity to develop resilience. and in every challenge, there's the possibility of personal growth. The choice is ours. We can either let obstacles define us as victims of circumstance, or we can let them shape us into the people we are meant to become. The obstacle is the way, and it's up to us how we respond to it. Criticism, judgment, and negativity from others can often feel like a weight that drags us down, leaving us questioning our actions, decisions, and even our worth. It's a feeling we've all experienced, being criticized by someone whose opinion seems to carry weight, even when deep down we know it shouldn't. The truth is, we all face moments when we allow the opinions of others to influence the way we see ourselves. But what if we could break free from this cycle? What if we could choose to hold ourselves to a higher standard? One that isn't swayed by external judgments. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminds us of the importance of not letting others' opinions shape our actions. He understood that if we constantly seek approval or validation from the outside world, we lose sight of who we are and what we stand for. In his writings, he speaks about the need to assess the character of the person who is giving criticism. Are they someone we respect? Someone whose values and wisdom we admire? If not, then why should their opinion have any bearing on how we live our lives? The Stoics taught us that, at the end of the day, our self-worth and actions should be grounded in virtue, not in the fleeting judgments of others. This doesn't mean that we should disregard all feedback or shut ourselves off from constructive criticism. On the contrary, the Stoics understood that wisdom comes from learning, and we should always strive to grow. But there's a difference between listening to criticism from someone who has earned our respect and internalizing negativity from those who simply seek to tear us down. The former can help us become better, while the latter will only keep us trapped in the noise of others' insecurities. I've learned this lesson the hard way. There was a time in my life when I allowed others' judgments to dictate my actions. I sought validation, approval, and recognition from people who didn't truly understand my values or vision. And for a while, their words shaped the way I viewed myself. But over time, I realized that constantly measuring my worth based on the opinions of others was exhausting and ultimately unfulfilling. It wasn't until I made the conscious decision to choose the higher standard, one rooted in my own principles, wisdom, and sense of self, that I began to find true peace. The higher standard isn't about arrogance or stubbornness. It's about integrity. It's about holding ourselves accountable to the values we believe in, regardless of whether others understand or approve. It's about measuring our success not by external markers or praise, but by our commitment to living a virtuous life, guided by wisdom, kindness, and resilience. When we choose this standard, we no longer have to rely on the shifting opinions of others to validate our choices. We can stand tall, knowing that we are true to ourselves. This journey isn't always easy. In fact, it can be incredibly challenging to let go of the desire to be liked, to be accepted. But when we choose the higher standard, we free ourselves from the burden of external validation. We begin to trust our own judgment and live in alignment with who we truly are. And when we do that, we unlock a deeper sense of confidence and fulfillment that can never be shaken by someone else's opinion. So, the next time you face criticism or negativity, ask yourself, is this someone I respect? If not, choose to dismiss their opinion and continue to live by your own higher standard. The world is a storm, constantly shifting and swirling with chaos. Every day, there are forces at play, societal pressures, gossip, public opinion, and the unpredictable twists of life that can easily sweep us off course if we're not careful. The temptation to react, to get caught up in the moment, is all too strong, and when we do, we risk losing our sense of self, our inner peace. This is where Stoicism offers us an invaluable tool: the ability to maintain an even keel. Stoics teach us the power of staying grounded, calm, and composed, even when everything around us seems to be falling apart. In every era, there have always been forces trying to destabilize us, whether it's the pressure to conform, the weight of others' expectations, or the distractions that flood our minds every moment. Today, it feels like these forces are stronger than ever. Social media, news cycles, and the constant barrage of opinions can make it seem impossible to find stillness. But the Stoic response to this chaos is not to fight against it or hide from it. Instead, it's about learning to stay steady, to refuse to let external circumstances dictate our internal world. I've experienced this firsthand in moments of high stress. There have been times in my life when everything felt out of control: the pressures of work, the demands of relationships, and the constant stream of negative news and opinions from others. In those moments, I would feel myself getting swept away, reacting impulsively, caught in the emotional undertow. But over time, I began to realize that the more I reacted, the more I lost control. The more I let the outside world dictate my emotions, the more I was handing over my power. That's when I turned to Stoicism and made the conscious decision to cultivate a calmer, more centered approach. The Stoic practice of maintaining composure begins with reflection before reaction. It's so easy to let our emotions run wild, especially when we're faced with criticism, conflict, or even unexpected challenges. But the Stoics remind us that we have a choice. Instead of immediately reacting, we can pause, breathe, and reflect. In that pause, we create space to choose how we want to respond. We can choose to stay true to our values, to act with integrity, and to keep our emotions in check. This doesn't mean suppressing our feelings or becoming numb to the world. It means recognizing that we are not slaves to our emotions but masters of our reactions. I've found that this practice is most effective when we train ourselves to detach from the noise and chaos around us. It's not about ignoring the world, but about not letting it control us. Whether it's an intense conversation, a stressful work deadline, or a public scandal, I've learned that my ability to stay calm and focused is what gives me the strength to navigate any situation. It's not about having perfect control over every situation, but about choosing to remain grounded and aligned with my principles. No matter what external forces may try to destabilize me, By choosing to keep an even keel, we protect our sense of peace and maintain our ability to act from a place of clarity and wisdom. We stop reacting out of fear, frustration, or impulsivity, and instead respond with intention, maintaining our integrity in the face of adversity. This practice allows us to rise above the chaos, to stay grounded even when the world around us is anything but steady. When we embrace this Stoic mindset, we not only become more resilient, but we also become the calm in the storm, an example for others of what it looks like to live with composure and grace. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to forget the simplicity of stepping outside, taking a breath of fresh air, and letting the world around us ground us. We're often too consumed by the noise of our phones, the demands of our work, and the pressures of our daily routines to notice the power of something as simple as a walk. Yet, Seneca, one of the Stoic philosophers, understood the profound impact that walking could have on the mind. He recommended it as a way to refresh the mind and regain clarity. And he wasn't just talking about any walk. He meant one taken outside. In nature, where the distractions of modern life don't reach us, we live in a world where our lives are increasingly digital, where we are constantly connected to a web of information, messages, and notifications. It can feel as though we never truly disconnect. Our minds are always racing, processing endless stimuli, and yet, the moment we step outside, something shifts. The air feels different, the world seems quieter, and we're suddenly more present, more attuned to the rhythm of life. It's no wonder that walking was such a cherished practice for the Stoics. They understood the deep restorative power of simply being outside, away from the chaos of our indoor lives. I've personally found walking to be a game changer when it comes to clearing my head. There have been moments when I felt overwhelmed by the weight of responsibilities and the stress of a busy mind. And every time, without fail, a walk outside does wonders. Whether it's a stroll through the park, a walk along the beach, or just around my neighborhood, the simple act of moving my body and being surrounded by nature creates a shift in my perspective. It's like a reset button for my mind. I come back feeling more focused, with a clearer sense of direction and a renewed sense of calm. The power of walking lies in its simplicity. It doesn't require any special tools or preparation. You don't need to be an athlete or have a fitness goal in mind. It's just you, your feet, and the world around you. And as you walk, you begin to notice things you would have otherwise missed. The way the trees sway in the wind, the rhythm of your own footsteps, the sounds of nature, or the quiet hum of the city. These small moments create space in our minds. And as we walk, we find that solutions to problems seem to arise naturally, and our mental well-being improves without even trying. What's incredible is that walking isn't just about physical exercise. It's about mental clarity. The Stoics believed that a clear mind was one of the most important things we could cultivate. And walking was one way to achieve that. When we're caught up in the rush of our daily lives, we can't think clearly. We're reacting, stressed, and overwhelmed. But when we step outside and walk, We allow ourselves time to process, to think, to reflect. It's a simple act, but it provides us with clarity, inspiration, and mental space to move forward with intention. I believe this practice is something we all could benefit from. It's easy to forget the power of nature and simplicity when we're surrounded by technology and constant connectivity. But there's something incredibly grounding about stepping outside, breathing in fresh air, and simply moving. It connects us back to the present, to the world around us, and to our own thoughts. If you've been feeling lost, overwhelmed, or stuck, try walking. Leave your phone behind, step outside, and give your mind the chance to breathe. You might be surprised at the clarity and inspiration that follows. In a world that often feels divided, where everyone is rushing to achieve their own goals or protect their own interests, kindness can feel like a rarity. But Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, understood something profound. Kindness isn't just a nice gesture, it's a fundamental virtue. A core principle that defines the quality of our lives. For Seneca, every person we meet is an opportunity to practice kindness, and every interaction is a chance to live in alignment with justice. Not just as laws and rules, but as a way of treating others every single day. We often think of justice as something grand, something that only applies to large-scale issues like politics or law enforcement. But Seneca flipped that idea on its head, teaching us that true justice starts in the small moments, how we treat others in our everyday lives. Whether it's holding the door open for someone, offering a kind word to a stranger, or stepping in to help someone in need, these small acts of kindness are expressions of justice in their truest form. They aren't just about making the world better for others, they're about making the world better for ourselves as well. Personally, I've found that kindness is not just a gift we give to others, it's a gift we give to ourselves. When I make the choice to act with kindness, it doesn't just make the other person's day a little brighter, it fills me with a sense of fulfillment and peace. The act of giving, of extending myself to help or uplift someone else, has a way of shifting my own perspective. It reminds me of what truly matters, of the deeper connections that bind us all, and of the power we have to impact the world around us. Even in the smallest ways, the beauty of kindness is that it doesn't require grand gestures or heroic acts. It's found in the simplest moments, smiling at a stranger, taking the time to listen, offering a compliment, or even just being patient with someone who's struggling. It's easy to overlook these small opportunities, but in doing so, we miss out on the chance to practice the Stoic virtue of justice, to contribute to the harmony of the world in a way that transcends the chaos and noise around us. I've seen firsthand how these small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect. One kind gesture can brighten someone's day, and that person, in turn, might pass it on. Before long, kindness becomes a thread that weaves its way through the fabric of our lives and the lives of those around us. This is where Stoic wisdom meets real-world impact. When we choose to be kind, we're not only creating a more just and compassionate world, we're also enriching our own lives, Choosing kindness doesn't mean being a doormat or neglecting our own needs. It's about recognizing that in every interaction, we have the power to uplift or tear down. It's about choosing to extend empathy, patience, and understanding, even when it's not easy. It's about seeing every encounter as an opportunity to live out the Stoic principle of justice, not just through laws, but through our behavior. And the more we practice kindness, the more it becomes a part of us. It becomes second nature, a lens through which we view the world and our interactions with others. When we choose kindness, we choose to enrich our own lives, to build connections, and to leave a lasting, positive impact on the world around us. In the end, kindness is one of the most powerful ways to live a Stoic life. To not only make the world better for others but also to cultivate a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment within ourselves. In our fast-paced, digital world, where information is constantly at our fingertips, we often overlook one of the most powerful tools for personal growth: reading. It's easy to get distracted by the noise of social media, endless scrolling, and the distractions that flood our daily lives. Yet, when we take a step back and truly reflect on what makes a life well lived, one of the key elements that stands out is the pursuit of knowledge. The Stoics, who valued wisdom above all else, understood that learning and growth are central to living a meaningful life. They knew that through the pursuit of knowledge, we can elevate our thinking, refine our character, and better understand the world around us. General James Mattis, a modern-day practitioner of Stoicism, has repeatedly emphasized the importance of lifelong learning. He is known for his voracious reading habits, often diving deep into history, psychology, and philosophy. For Mattis, learning wasn't just a pastime, it was a way of life. He understood that in any field, whether it's leadership, combat, or personal growth, there is always more to learn. No matter how accomplished you become, there's always room for deeper understanding. This relentless pursuit of knowledge isn't just about being more informed. It's about becoming a better, wiser, and more resilient version of yourself. For the Stoics, reading was an essential part of their daily routine. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all practiced reading, often immersing themselves in the wisdom of their predecessors. They believed that by studying philosophy, history, and the human experience, we could unlock insights into how to live a virtuous life. They saw reading as an opportunity not only to gain knowledge but to strengthen our character, to prepare ourselves for the challenges life throws at us. And they were right. Reading deeply allows us to understand the world, our place in it, and how to navigate the complexities of life with wisdom and purpose. I've personally found that reading has had an incredible impact on my own growth. There's something transformative about immersing yourself in a book, whether it's a piece of philosophy, a historical account, or a psychological exploration. It gives you the chance to step out of your own world and into the minds of those who have lived before you, to see the world through their eyes, and to learn from their triumphs and failures. The more I read, the more I begin to understand the patterns of human behavior, the importance of self-discipline, and the value of thinking critically. But reading isn't just about accumulating knowledge for the sake of knowledge. It's about applying what we learn to our own lives. As the Stoics taught, wisdom isn't valuable unless it's put into practice. Reading deeply, whether it's about history, psychology, or philosophy, gives us the tools we need to live a more intentional, virtuous life. It helps us better understand ourselves and others, and it equips us with the insight to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. I've also come to appreciate that reading is a form of self-discipline. It's a way to slow down, to step away from the constant distractions of modern life, and focus on something that enriches our minds and spirits. It requires patience and commitment, qualities that the Stoics value deeply. And the more we commit to reading, the more we refine our thinking and our decision-making. It's a continuous cycle of learning, growth, and self-improvement. So, the next time you find yourself overwhelmed or searching for answers, choose to pick up a book. Make it a part of your daily routine, not as a task, but as a commitment to your own growth. Whether it's a timeless classic or a modern work, the knowledge contained within those pages has the power to shape your mind, your character, and your life. And remember, in the words of the Stoics, the pursuit of wisdom is a lifelong journey, one that starts with the simple act of opening a book. Life, as Seneca beautifully put it, is like a play. We are the actors, and the story we live is unfolding, scene by scene. But what makes this play truly remarkable isn't the applause we receive or the mistakes we make along the way. It's the ending. The final act is what people remember most, and it's in our power to decide how that ending plays out. So often, we get caught up in the idea that our past defines us, that the mistakes, missteps, and wasted time we've accumulated along the way are irreversible scars. We let our past failures dictate how we approach the future, believing that we are too far gone or that the best part of our story is already behind us. But the Stoic lesson here is clear. It's never too late to change. The beauty of Stoicism is that it teaches us we have the power to choose. No matter where we are in life, no matter what we've done, we always have the ability to choose how we respond and what direction we take moving forward. The past does not hold us hostage. It's merely a series of lessons, experiences, and memories that we can learn from, but not be imprisoned by. The only thing that truly matters is how we choose to act in the present and what we decide to do with the time we have left. I've realized that this is a mindset I've had to adopt in my own life. There have been moments when I looked back and felt regret for not doing more, for procrastinating, or for making choices that didn't align with who I wanted to be. I could have let those regrets paralyze me, allowing the weight of past failures to prevent me from moving forward. But instead, I chose to focus on what I could control, my actions in the present. I understood that the past doesn't dictate my future unless I allow it to. Every moment is a new opportunity to start again, to write the next chapter, and to steer my life in the direction I want. This is where the Stoic concept of focusing on what's within our control comes into play. While we can't change the past, we can always choose our response to it. The Stoics were masters of self-discipline, and they knew that even in the face of hardship or failure, the true measure of a person is not in how many times they fall, but in how they rise. This principle has been so liberating for me. When I face setbacks or disappointments, I remind myself that the end of the story is not yet written. I still have the power to choose how it unfolds. It's easy to feel defeated when life throws curveballs our way or when we face setbacks that seem insurmountable. We can find ourselves stuck in the past, overwhelmed by what we didn't do, or by the mistakes we made. But the truth is, every day is a chance to write a new scene in the play of our lives. We can choose to act with courage, with integrity, with wisdom, and with kindness. We can decide that the ending of our story will be one of growth, of resilience, and of peace. As I reflect on my own journey, I realize that the power to change, to pivot, and to create a meaningful conclusion lies within each of us. It doesn't matter how messy the middle of the story may have been. What matters is how we finish. And the beauty of it all is that the choice to craft a positive ending is always ours. We can choose to let go of past mistakes, choose to forgive ourselves, and choose to live in alignment with the values that matter most to us. The ending of your life story is not written yet, it's still unfolding. And the best part, you get to choose how it ends. Don't let your past failures define you. Instead, focus on how you can move forward with intention, purpose, and wisdom. The power to create a good ending is in your hands. Life is fleeting. We often go through our days lost in the hustle, consumed by tasks, and distracted by the noise of the world around us. But the Stoics remind us of something vital, something that, if we truly understood, could transform how we approach every moment. Memento mori. Remember your mortality. It's not a morbid practice. It's a tool for living a life with greater urgency, clarity, and purpose. By acknowledging that our time is limited, we're not meant to live in fear of death. We're meant to use that knowledge to make every moment count, to live fully and intentionally. I'll admit, at first, the concept of memento mori felt unsettling. Death is not a topic most people like to confront, especially in a world where we try to avoid thinking about its inevitability. But as I dug deeper into the Stoic practice, I began to see how liberating it could be. The truth is, acknowledging that our time is limited doesn't make life feel smaller or more constrained. It makes it richer. It sharpens our sense of urgency and drives us to be present. The reality is, none of us know how much time we have. Every moment we waste is a moment we'll never get back. And yet, it's easy to forget that in the rush of daily life. When I first started incorporating this practice into my life, it was like a veil had been lifted. I started to view each day differently, understanding that I could never afford to take time for granted. The simple act of remembering that I'm mortal helped me see life through a clearer lens. It didn't make me anxious or morbid. It made me more grateful for what I have. It made me realize that every conversation, every small act of kindness, every decision, no matter how seemingly insignificant, mattered. Every single day was an opportunity to be present, to make a difference, and to live in a way that honored the preciousness of time. The Stoics believe that understanding death helps us appreciate life more fully. It's in the face of mortality that we often find the deepest clarity about what truly matters. Death is the great equalizer. It doesn't care about your status, your wealth, or your accomplishments. It's the one thing we all face. And because of that, it forces us to reckon with how we want to spend our time. When we accept that we don't know how much time we have, we are more likely to make decisions with intention. We start prioritizing what truly matters, the relationships we build, the work we do, the moments of connection, and the way we treat others. By embracing memento mori, we don't live in fear of death, we live with purpose. Instead of being paralyzed by the unknown, we are empowered to live more fully. We stop waiting for the perfect time to take action and instead realize that the perfect time is now. We stop putting off our dreams, our goals, and the things that bring us joy. We stop wasting time on things that ultimately won't matter and focus on the things that will. For me, this practice has been nothing short of transformative. When I start to feel overwhelmed or caught up in the trivialities of life, I remind myself of memento mori. It brings me back to center, refocusing my energy on what truly matters. It has made me more present, more intentional, and more grateful for every moment I get to experience. In a world that is constantly rushing forward, memento mori offers us the chance to slow down and really think about how we want to spend our time. It challenges us to live with clarity, urgency, and meaning. It's a simple but powerful reminder. Life is precious, and the time to live it fully is now. When we choose to live with this perspective, every day becomes an opportunity to live with intention, purpose, and gratitude. Imagine waking up every day with a clear sense of purpose, a life where every action, every decision, every moment is driven by intention and grounded in wisdom. This is what Stoicism offers us, a way to live with purpose, clarity, and resilience, no matter the circumstances. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment to act or relying on fleeting inspiration. It's about living each day with discipline, kindness, and a clear focus on what truly matters. Stoicism is a blueprint for a meaningful life, one that doesn't depend on external validation or luck, but on the choices we make and the way we choose to respond to life's challenges. At the heart of Stoic philosophy are practical tools that empower us to live more purposefully. The principle of acting now, for example, teaches us to stop procrastinating and take action today, not tomorrow. Every moment is an opportunity to make progress, and every decision is a chance to move closer to the person we want to be. When I adopted this principle in my own life, it completely shifted how I approached my goals. I stopped waiting for the right moment and realized that the perfect time to act is always now. I started taking small steps every day, and over time, Those steps added up to meaningful progress. Focusing on the essential is another core Stoic practice. In a world filled with distractions, it's easy to lose sight of what really matters. We're constantly bombarded with noise, opinions, advertisements, expectations. But Stoicism teaches us to tune that out and concentrate on what is truly important: our values, our relationships, and our personal growth. I've learned that by eliminating the non-essential, we not only conserve our energy but also increase our capacity to make a real impact. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what truly counts. But perhaps the most powerful Stoic lesson is how we respond to challenges. Life is full of obstacles, some big, some small. But Stoicism teaches us that these challenges are not roadblocks, they're opportunities for growth. By responding with wisdom, patience, and resilience, we transform setbacks into stepping stones. This mindset has been crucial for me. When faced with difficulties, I no longer view them as insurmountable. Instead, I ask myself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Every challenge we overcome makes us stronger, wiser, and more aligned with our purpose. Living with Stoic purpose means living intentionally, making choices that reflect our highest values, and cultivating inner peace in a world that often feels chaotic. It means taking full responsibility for our actions and understanding that our choices today shape who we become tomorrow. The Stoic philosophers knew that our time is limited, and that the life we create is a result of the actions we take today. So, choose wisely. Choose to act now, to focus on what's essential, and to respond to challenges with wisdom. If you want to live a life of greater purpose and inner peace, the power is in your hands. It starts with the choices you make right now. What will you choose today? Will you choose discipline over distraction? Will you choose kindness over indifference? Will you choose clarity over confusion? The Stoics have shown us the way, but the path is yours to walk. So, take that first step, embrace the principles of Stoicism, and start living with purpose. Your future self will thank you.